All right, this is Razer's Pro Type keyboard. This is aimed at business professionals or people who they know the Razer brand, they want to keep the Razer feel, but also, they need something that's more geared towards productivity than it is for gaming. Otherwise, it just wouldn't exist. So hopefully I'm extrapolating the marketing positioning well enough here. I think that that's important because that's really the pretext for how I reviewed this. I reviewed this as if I were a business professional. I mean, I am a business professional, but I didn't take the same attack I would with a gaming keyboard. Right? Something like there we go, the Black Widow V3 Pro. This is an absolute beast. This is an awesome keyboard. There's a preview on the channel, and these are similar but different. So, differences. First of all, you don't get the per key chroma lighting. It's a single lighting, it's multi-stage, it gets very bright, and only the backlighting occurs. So the multi-function or secondary actions that some keys can perform do not light up. This was an issue on Razer's laptops, if you think back to like 2018, 2017, etc. The multifunction didn't light up, and that was a bit of a challenge, right? But it's not as big of a deal here, mostly because you can't actually configure this keyboard to default to the multifunction key. So what a lot of keyboards do is along the function row, they have multi-use. So you can do play, pause your music, skip tracks, adjust the volume, adjust the backlighting. You can't set that as the default. So what you can do is you can remap those keys so that the default gets overridden, and then you can change it to do almost all of those things. You can't actually change it to do the backlighting. So that will always have to be a function press in order to make that happen. So that's a bit annoying. You can also change the backlighting in Synapse, and you can also tell it to time out at a certain amount of time of inactivity, and that's pretty helpful. So the layout, it makes perfect sense. This is a keyboard that will not surprise you when you look at it, but it may surprise you when you start typing on it. So the nature of the keys, these are mechanical keys that Razer's using. These are orange keys. So have a listen. All right, one more time. All right, so you didn't have to rewind. You can just hear it twice. Now here's what the the Black Widow sounds like. Right, it's much louder, it's much more precise in the way that it actuates. So you get a softer, more mushy landing out of these keys, but to me it actually feels really good. I found that I had fewer errors with this keyboard than I did with the Black Widow, and that's a really good thing, right? That's what we're after. But when it comes to productivity, when it comes to ergonomics, like in the marketing on the website for this $140 keyboard, it literally says ergonomic keyboard, right? That's part of the feature set or benefits. This is not an ergonomic keyboard. This is a regular keyboard, right? This is a standard keyboard layout. It doesn't even come with the palm rest, whereas the Black Widow does. Now, if you want to see what a true ergonomic keyboard looks like, here's an example. This is a Logitech keyboard. It has no backlighting, doesn't do anything fancy. It only connects, I think that's correct, yeah, it only connects using the USB dongle, but it has an integrated wrist rest, which as you can see gets a little gross over time, but the organization, right, the layout of the keys in the home row are more ergonomically friendly, which makes sense because it's an ergonomic keyboard. So then you switch to this and it says ergonomic and it's not ergonomic. So I don't want to belabor the point. For a lot of people, I'm sure it doesn't matter. They don't have issues. Like for many, many years, I typed on a keyboard with the same layout as this, same layout as the Black Widow, and I had no problem. But over time, a lot of use, I've got a little bit of tendonitis in my wrist, so it's harder for me to use these types of keyboards for a long time, particularly without a wrist rest. So something like this, this is by a company called, I don't know. It's some generic brand on Amazon. I think this was 15 bucks. I bought it a couple of years ago. I've used it off and on whenever I do reviews of keyboards like this that don't come with wrist rests. So you may want to run out and get something like that. It made a huge impact for me. It made it a lot more comfortable to use this keyboard for the few weeks that I have in order to test it. But I am totally going back to my ergonomic keyboard because of my issues. Okay, now the feel, the design, all of that is fantastic. This is an aluminum deck, which is awesome. Then you get plastic all the way around, and you can connect this to multiple devices, tablet, keyboard, connect your keyboard to your keyboard. Tablet, phone, laptop, desktop, so that's pretty good. Connects over Bluetooth for multi-device purposes, or even just a one-to-one, you can use Bluetooth. Or you can use a direct connection over USB-C, and you've got your dongle adjustment here, you can then plug it right into your USB into your PC. So here's something that's pretty neat. The USB dongle magnetically clips onto the back. I like that. That's a nice touch. That's pretty cool. Okay, so another thing I want to bring up is that when I did the clicking test, right, translation about 77 decibels. So in contrast, when I type on that ergonomic non-mechanical keyboard, it's closer to 45, 50. So this can get pretty loud. And if you're in a conference, like you're in a bunch of cubicles or something, or even if you're on a conference call and you don't mute yourself, it's pretty loud. And we've all done it, right? We've all stealth typed during a Zoom call or something. You don't want to do that. You hit your mute button, right? You gotta hit your mute button if you're gonna stealth type, because it's just too loud for that. So when it comes to a productivity keyboard, I would like to see a true ergonomic layout, like in that ergonomic Logitech I just showed. I would also like to see a quieter experience, although it is mechanical, know what you're getting into. I think the price is fair. There's one other thing, and that's the battery life. So the battery life on this is about 1.5 business days, right? So you're gonna get your 8-9 hours of use, and then maybe a few more hours the next day. You can kind of game it a little bit. You can set the keyboard to power off after a few minutes of inactivity. That will spare your battery quite a bit, but it's not completely off when you do that, right? You still have to if you hit the button to wake it up, it wakes up. So it still has some sensors running. What I just turned it off overnight. I didn't turn it off between browser tabs. I just turned it off when I was done for the evening, and then off I go. The next morning I turn it back on. Also, okay, this just occurred to me. I totally re-recorded this entire review to make sure I remember to say this, and now it's finally coming back to me. Okay, on the back, you can adjust the feet, right? So you have a bit of an angle, and there's 2 different angles, right? On the Black Widow keyboard, a gaming keyboard, a professional gaming keyboard, but nevertheless, it's labeled. It says 6 degrees and 9 degrees, right? Here it's not labeled. So you're making a productivity keyboard. Let's kind of label these things so that people who are trying to be conscientious about their wrist placement and stuff like that, they kind of have an indication of, like, am I following best practices in ergonomics? 9 degrees, yes I am. That'd be a pretty cool thing. And what kind of blows me away, guys, is that this mouse, the Pro Click mouse, is super ergonomic, right? It's not a vertical mouse, of course, but nevertheless, like, take that aside. Everything else about it is ergonomically friendly. And I've been able to go from vertical mice to this and not actually have increased pain. And I compared that mouse to the MX Master 3, by the way, and this mouse is better, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the Pro Type keyboard. I do like it. It's a good keyboard, but a few little tweaks and it will be even better. And I know Razer can do it because they keep improving. And if you saw my video from the end of last year about Razer's 2020, just all the things they released, including this, and all the improvements they made to their laptops, really a remarkable company. Happy to be working with them. Thank you, Razer, for sending this over. Sorry I was a little hard on it, but this is just kind of the nature of the gig, right? Want to give it a thorough review and analysis for all those watching. So, all right, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was helpful, and stay tuned. I've got a full review of that Black Widow coming up soon. Cheers.